Available. We're going to scan every ticket. QR code up on your phone if you have, paper tickets, what have you. Keys, phones, wallets across your chest as we go through the metal detector if you would. And if you do have a small bag, please have it off your shoulder and open. Helps security expedite our entry to the ballpark. Follow me, please. What do you want? He says, I want people to leave me alone. I don't want, he goes, no. What do you want? They get 2 hot dogs and 2 beers for less than $9. That'll tell you how old that movie is, right? How about The Town with Ben Affleck? The final scene, the big shootout happened right where we're standing. The bullets were banging off the girders. They took the ambulance up the ramp that we just came down, crashed through the gate we just came through for their short-lived escape. My point is that Fenway is used for a lot of different things besides just baseball. We have some great displays. National Hockey League has had 2 winter classics here. We've had several football games. High school football goes all the way back to the 1930s, so it's a pretty cool setup. Fenway Sports Group also owns Liverpool of the Premier Soccer League over in Europe. They own the Pittsburgh Penguins, parts of Roush Racing. And whenever any of those teams or organizations come to the Boston area, Fenway Sports Group likes to host them here. One of our last stops will be the way the ballpark's configured for those events. We're going to have what we'd like to say is a leisurely stroll through Fenway Park, but we're going to do it kind of quickly. We have the other half of the group on the sidewalk waiting for us, and they're going to be waiting for us to get out of the way for an hour. So please stay together as a group, okay? Please stay behind me. Again, my name is Mike. And stay in front of Barry. Everybody say hello to Barry, one of our most senior tour guides. Questions, please feel free to ask us throughout the tour. Again, please stay behind me and in front of Barry. If we don't go there, you don't go there, okay? Deal? Trust me on this one, it makes a much better tour for everyone. When we first get to a vantage point, take all your pictures then. Okay, don't wait until we're ready to get on the move and decide that's when you want to take your pictures, right? Again, please behind me, in front of Barry, and there's only one rule that is very strictly enforced here at Fenway Park. No making fun of my accent, right? We're going to be met by Jose, family photo, fan photo, take a picture of your group, your family, be available for purchase at the end of the tour. So what do you say? Let's go see Fenway.
Fantasy Day. Starring Donald Trump.
That's beautiful.
game there. That's Alex Bregman and
Check out the dents on the Green Monster. More than 200,000 dents. Morning light, you can see every single one of them comes afternoon time. You wouldn't even know they were there. But Red Sox didn't start here. We started about a mile away where Northeastern University now sits. We were a charter member of the American League, which started in 1901. Baseball had began in Boston. The National League, the Braves, since the 1870s. What was really cool about that team, that organization, just about everybody involved was Civil War veterans. Baseball goes way back. So when the American League charter started in 1901, they knew Boston could support a second team. We got very good very fast because we took one of the greatest pitchers in the history of the game from our crosstown neighbors, the Boston Braves. His name was Cy Young. Now, we don't do a whole lot of stats on the tour, but this one just floors me every time I say it. Cy Young started 815 games in his career. He completed 749 of them. He was only released 66 times his entire career. With his help, we won the very first World Series ever played, 1903. We referenced the red and blue pennants above the press box. Blue pennants, runner-up, red pennants are World Series championships. You can see 03 is red, but 04 is blue because the National League refused to play us the next year. They think it was good business to have the new upstart league beating up on the old veterans. But like I said, we were very good, very fast. The Taylor family owned the team at the time. They owned the Boston Globe. They owned real estate. They were into anything they could do to make a buck. So when they had this very good product, what did they want to do? They wanted to sell it and make a buck, right? But they didn't know whether they wanted to just sell the team, build a new park, rent the park to the new team, so they knew they weren't going to make real money unless they had a real ballpark. They came to the Fenway neighborhood of Boston. Fence is an old English term for swampland, wetland, land that's not very good much of anything. Most of downtown Boston and Boston proper is all built on landfill, all part of the Charles River watershed. So when they came time to find a new location, they came over here and they bought 2 lots and they combined them. You're looking at about 8.5 acres. Now those 2 lots were surrounded by 5 city streets. The same 5 city streets that are in place today. They've never moved. So Fenway has always been restricted to being expanded. It wasn't until new ownership that we actually went over. But they wanted to build a good ballpark, strong enough to expand up. They didn't want to pay for it, but they wanted it to be a selling point. So you can see where the seats change angles here. From that point all the way around to just beyond first base was made out of concrete, steel, with a roof. Everything outside of that, down this way, left field bleachers, right field bleachers, center field bleachers, made out of wood, no roof. Now again, concrete steel in the wetlands, what they did is they actually ended up over-engineering the ballpark. Lucky for us they did, had they not, Fenway Park would have been long gone. So not only do we have a third floor, but we have a 4th floor and a 5th floor built above us. And it was just because the ballpark was over-engineered. So lucky for us they did. 1912, we opened up April 20th, 5 days after the Titanic sank. So when you look at all the archives on the morning of April 21st, there's not a whole lot written about the Red Sox opening their new ballpark because the media was still focused on the Titanic, as you would imagine. Right? A lot of New Englanders were on board, and Boston was one of the ports where they were bringing survivors. So 1912, one of the best years, percentage-wise, in the history of the Red Sox, won the World Series again. 1913, the next year we go to Baltimore, we sign a lanky lefty pitcher called George Herman Ruth. The Babe, he comes in 1914 and helps us win 3 more World Series. Winning 15, 16, and 18. Now, with just a transitioning from the dead ball era. When these ballparks were built, the balls didn't go nearly as far. The balls, they'd use one ball, maybe two for the whole game. If you pitch a foul ball, you have to throw it back in so the game can continue. So now we're transitioning into the live ball era. So some of these ballparks get kind of small, if you will, right? So in 1919, Babe Ruth hit 29 out of the Red Sox 33 home runs. 29 doesn't seem like a whole bunch now, but it was just incredible back then. So Babe's thinking pretty high to himself. He's winning games pitching, he's winning games hitting home runs. World War I had broken out over Europe. A lot of the players left the teams, left the Major League Baseball to join the service. They worked in factories to support the war effort. Babe didn't have to go. He was married. He was exempt. So he stayed behind and did other things. But when he wasn't pitching, they'd use him in the outfield, and lo and behold, the kid could hit, right? So he's thinking pretty highly of himself. His teammates were fed up with him. He wasn't a good guy in the clubhouse, whatever. So after hitting the 29 out of 33 home runs, he went to the owner, Mr. Harry Frazine. He said, I want to double my salary. I'm winning games pitching, and I'm winning games hitting. And Mr. Frazine says, I'm not interested. I'll find somebody who's willing to pay him. Sell him off to the Yankees. And December 26, 1919, on the way out the door, he says, the Red Sox will never win another World Series without me. The curse of the Bambino, right? So off he goes, and when the owner realizes that he could get good money for his players, he sells 8 more of that dynasty team to the Yankees, 2 to the Cardinals. What happens when you do something foolish like that? You stink, right? You stink for like 86 years, I believe it was. Right? People start coming to the ballpark, starts falling into disrepair. Right field bleachers, the left field bleachers where we're sitting now, burnt down, didn't fix it. Didn't need the seats, people weren't coming to the ballpark. Radio was now broadcasting baseball games, so you didn't have to be physically present to keep up on how the Sox were doing on any given afternoon. So things got so bad in 1926 that a tornado. Tornadoes never come to this part of the country. Tornado takes out the center field bleachers, same thing, didn't fix it, we didn't need the seats, nobody's coming to the ballpark. So, lucky for us in the early 30s, a young man from Detroit, his name was Tom Yawkey. He was raised by his uncle, who was part owner of the Detroit Tigers. He loved baseball, he knew the game, he wanted his own team, and lucky for him, on his 30th birthday, he inherited the family fortune, like we all do. He comes to Boston, pays $1.2 million for Fenway Park and the ball club. He goes right to work renovating Fenway Park. Now keep in mind, it was during the Depression. Right? He put in over $1 million of his own money. People of Boston loved Mr. Yawkey. He put hundreds of people to work here at Fenway Park. During the Depression, it was just the best thing that anybody could ask for. They say that Mr. Yawkey not only saved the ballpark, he may have saved a few families along the way also. But 4 of the things he did are still present today. First thing he did when he came here, he said, if it's made out of wood, take it out. Concrete and steel to match the original pavilion part of the ballpark. Put the roof all the way over to the left field wall, all the way around into deep center to keep you out of the sun and keep you out of the rain. He installed these beautiful blue seats that you're now sitting in. They are the oldest seats in Major League Baseball. They're the only wooden seats remaining in Major League Baseball. And some would say they're not the most comfortable seats in Major League Baseball. But the number one thing Mr. Yawkey did, most iconic part of Fenway Park, is the Green Monster, which was blue and covered with advertisements at the time. There was, all the streets around the ballpark were built for horse and buggy. We didn't have cars when the roads were laid down. So the top of the road was flat, and both sides of the road were slanted for rain running to keep the cobblestones as dry as possible. The slant off Lansdowne Street actually came into the ballpark. The height of the wall has never changed, but the bottom 10 to 12 feet were the wall, and it was named Duffy's Cliff, after the left field to Duffy Lewis, who played that hill pretty darn good over the years. So now when Mr. Yawkey came, he renovated the whole wall. He squared it off, and the scoreboard goes down low now. But it actually brings us to the world's most useless ladder. When Mr. Yawkey bought the team in 34, the balls were jumping out of these little ballparks, right? 1934, what's on the other side of the wall? Car dealerships, broken windshields, dents in brand new cars. Mr. Yawkey says, I can't be making all these payments. Put a 23-foot screen on top of the wall. And the way that the grounds crew would get the balls out of the screen up until 2003 was they'd attach a smaller ladder to the bottom rung, scale the wall, and go across. 261 feet across. It's 37 feet, 2 inches tall. And that is one assignment I don't think I would agree. So all the major media outlets say monster seats, which went up in 2003, was the first thing the new owners did. And all the major media outlets say that it's the coolest place to watch a ball game. So I think it's time we get out of the older seats in Major League Baseball and go up to the cooler seats in Major League Baseball. When we get up there, you're welcome to sit in any seat in section 1 and 2, come all the way down to the front if you would like. And there's 3 sets of stairs you can utilize to get down. What do you say we go see the Monsters? Most of the East Coast teams with their grass. We're going to take you on a visual tour around the ballpark. Start down the right field line. The right field foul pole is named after Johnny Pesky, the Pesky Pole. John was a longtime employee of the Red Sox. He was a player, manager, broadcaster, good Samaritan. Anniversary of his employment, they named the Pesky Pole in his honor. The left field foul pole here to our right is the Carlton Fisk Pole, made famous 1975 World Series Game 6 12th inning walk-off home run. We all seen the video. Stay fair, stay fair. Game 7 didn't go so well as the blue 1975 pennant up on the facade above the press box will show us. And while I'm thinking of it, you see the 4 blue pennants up there, all right next to each other? They hurt real bad. Every one of them was a 7th game loss. All 1 game away from being red. Now, number 1 question we get when we reach the Monster is, how much does it cost to sit up here? There's actually 2 answers. The first one is a lot, and the second one is, it depends. Depends who we're playing, who's in, what time of the year it is, whether there's a pennant race or not. Middle of the summer, beautiful night, the Yankees are in, the Dodgers, the Cubbies, the Braves, you can expect to pay $600, $700, $800 per ticket. Get into the playoffs, it's in the thousands, well into the thousands. But you do get 4 amenities that the rest of the ballpark does not get. You come in 2 hours early instead of an hour and a half. And during that time frame, most days, the visiting team is taking batting practice. It is a gas to be up here during batting practice. No looking at your phones, no chat. You got to be watching that batter. The balls come up here 90 to 110 miles an hour. So you really have to pay attention. Another amenity is get your own concession stands. If you look over your left shoulder, you see a green Coca-Cola machine. They tell us there's only 2 green Coca-Cola machines, and they're both here on top of the green Monster. Coca-Cola's been a sponsor here at Fenway Park since opening day in 1912. You get your own restrooms here, and you get your own EMT crew. Just in case you can't resist trying to catch that ball with your bare hand and you need some help, we're right there to help you out. Any questions while we're sitting on the wall?
White green.
I'm sorry.
Green, the color.
Why green? Good question. It all started with the wall. I told you when Mr. Yawkey bought it, it was blue and covered with advertisements. 15 years later, in 1947, the light stanchions went in. And when the lights came on, all the advertisements reflected and the players couldn't see. So Mrs. Yawkey thought it would be a nice thing to try to match the grass. And the only thing that was this color was the wall. Now you can see how it's like, now everything's green. Yeah, they went a little overboard, I think, maybe. But that's why it's green, yep. All right, I'd like to ask you to finish up with your pitches. Again, this is a... They paid $660 million. They put about $350 million of their own money into expanding and renovating the ballpark. First thing they did was the seats we just came from, which were very successful, as you can all imagine. And then they had a concert, 2003. One performer did 2 shows. Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. Next year they said, no, let's do it again. Jimmy Buffett, 2 shows. Third year, Rolling Stones, 2 shows. That went on for 5 or 6 years until they realized they really had something special here. So since then, every time the team goes on an extended road trip, up goes the stage in dead center field, plastic flooring, folding chairs. Infield is always off limits, right? And up goes the stage. And these are just a sample of some of the bands and performers that have come to play here at Fenway Park. I was lucky enough to see one show. I saw Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. It was unbelievable. I had the worst seat in the house, way up behind home plate. And I'm not kidding when I show you where I sat. It was right about here. But like I said, it was unbelievable. The sound system's incredible, outdoors, intimate. One of the bands said normally when they look off stage, they see colors. When they play here at Fenway Park, they see faces. Now, as you can imagine, being the outdoor venue that it is, go back to those 5 city streets and all the colleges we have here in town. During a concert, those 5 city streets are crowded with people listening to music without having to buy a ticket. So it's pretty cool. Our Hall of Fame, background band, I believe they've played here 15 or 16 times. Sir Paul McCartney's been here a few times. But Billy Joel, being from New York and all, he's very welcome here at Fenway Park, and I believe the reason that he's in our Hall of Fame is because they say he's the only person that can get a stadium full of Bostonians to sing New York State of Mind. That's worth being placed in the Hall of Fame on its own. When we leave here, we're going to look over the railing. We see Fenway Farms, 2015. A rooftop organic garden was placed on top of the original 1912 building. So 2 of the things that they realized that they hadn't intended is that it acts as insulation on the old building, as you would imagine, helps for air conditioning and heating. But there's 1,200 repurposed milk crates. We grow more than 6,000 pounds of vegetables, herbs, and spices every year, served here at the ballpark. And anything that is not used here at the ballpark is given to local food groups. So it really is a win-win. Grab a seat, folks. Go on down. Yep. Move right along. We'll put you behind you. There we go. Grab a seat any way you like. We're not going to be here very long. Just a couple of quick stories about the Skyline. Right across. Now, I'd like you to concentrate on the 3 tallest building complex, and the bottom 5 or 6 floors is the Four Seasons Hotel. What's cool about the 3 buildings is that it's an optical illusion. The one on the left is actually the tallest. The one on the right is the shortest. But the one in the middle, the Prudential Center, has been a great neighbor to the Boston Red Sox and Back Bay in particular. What happens, it's pretty cool that when there's a big game here at Fenway Park in the evening, after dark they'll turn out all the lights in the building. Then they'll just light up specific offices, specific windows, and the side of the building will read "Go Sox." Now, last year in the spring, it said "Go Seas" for our NBA champion Boston Celtics. And during the 2 winter classics that we've had here with the National Hockey League, they lit it up to say "Go Bees." Pretty cool. Right in front of that, there you see the blue sign, the blue Ford advertisement. Check out the F in Ford and come down about 12 rows. You see one lonely red seat there? That's the landing spot of the longest home run ever hit inside of Fenway Park. Happened in 1946, before the 3rd, 4th, and 5th level of Fenway Park was built, and all the buildings behind us. So it was a completely different jet stream, if you will. When we get over to the Sam deck at the end of the tour, I'll tell you all about it. But that was 1946 when that happened. We can look at the Sam deck, the facade, the red numbers followed by the blue 42. That's our retired numbers. I only talk about 2 of them, both ends. The one on the left is the great Ted Williams. Ted Williams came into the game, came into the Red Sox, in 1929. He retired 1939. He retired in 60. Over that time stamp, he had a career triple crown, if you will. He hit 521 home runs, and when you look back and realize that he missed 5 years, the prime of his career, for military service, you can only imagine how many home runs and how many more hits he would have had. But while he was in the service, he was a pilot. His squadron commander was John Glenn, astronaut and Senator John Glenn, and they stayed lifelong friends. All the way to the right, the blue 42. Who can help me with that one? The great Jackie Robinson. That's right. He was the first player to integrate Major League Baseball. His 42 is retired in every Major League ballpark and minor league affiliate in all of baseball. From his first year, when he was Rookie of the Year, all the way through his Hall of Fame induction, he may have done more for baseball and society itself than any one individual. The great Jackie Robinson. Do we have any questions? This is a great place for this quick story. We talked about the pesky pole down the right field line. That's the shortest home run in Major League Baseball. When I was a kid, it was marked 297 feet. Major League Baseball came out with a directive saying you cannot have a home run of less than 300. Under the cover of darkness and a little bit of pain, it went from 297 to 302 and never moved an inch. We don't even mark it any longer. It's like out of sight, out of mind, right? That's the shortest home run in Major League Baseball. And you can see dead center field below the safe light, 420. That's the longest home run in Major League Baseball. Way out deep right field, the LL Bean sign. That is the lowest wall in Major League Baseball. And when we were out there in the monster seats, we were sitting atop the tallest wall in Major League Baseball. So we have all the dimensions covered here at Fenway Park. Do we have any questions before we move on? We're going to have another minute or two here while there's a group ahead of us in the press box. Questions from anyone? Vote as to whether the windows are going to be open or closed. So there's no opening and closing, opening and closing. They're either one or the other. So they have to check the forecast, if you will. But they're like everybody else. They like to hear the sights and the sounds, smell the popcorn, what have you. But foul balls do come back here. And as the season progresses, this wall here gets pretty beat up. It's been repaired over the winter for another season, but you can see, and directly above my head, you can see a mark in the ceiling. You can actually see the stitch marks from the ball. So the writers actually, they say that they're more protective of their laptops these days than their own physical well-being. But I imagine they would. What else about the press box here? The control panel down on the first row, that's where the pitch clock operator sits. Constant contact there, headset with the home plate umpire. And what's pretty cool, we all know that the umpires travel as a group, and they'll say come to Boston for 4 games, and then maybe go to New York for 4 games. Well, while they're here, they have the same pitch clock operator. They don't have to introduce each other every night, and what have you. Cadence, and they know what's expected. When the umpires move on, another pitch clock operator comes in. Any questions?
Do they still have the radio announcements?
Radio and TV, the broadcast booths, we're going to pass them when we leave here. This is written press. Now, did anybody, back to movies, how about Moneyball?
Oh, yeah.
There was a pretty famous scene here when we tried to bribe Brad Pitt to come and do the Moneyball stuff with the Red Sox. And Brad Pitt sat right here, and so we call this the Brad Pitt seat. So there you go, there you go. So we're gonna leave here, we're gonna go down a ramp system, and we are going to show you what the ballpark looks like when it's configured for other sports and what have you. We're gonna go down to the terrace where the video of Fenway Park is spinning there, and I'm gonna tell you all about.
Where's he stand?
You know him? Big Papi, right?
That big pop. Oh yes, we're going down. That's really forbidden. What's the next view?
Bullpen wall has been made removable. It gives the defensive backs and wide receivers a little more room for safety on the end. But how Notre Dame and Boston College, how Notre Dame got to be the home team, I'll never know, right? Maybe you might have some insight on that. But Fenway Park has been the home of 2 Winter Classics. Again, the Red Sox own Liverpool, Pittsburgh Penguins, Route Racing. When Liverpool has been here a few times for a friendly, if you will, the park isn't quite big enough, but they adjust the amount of players on the field to make it a big game. What else? This picture here, in 2016, we had an Olympic qualifying event here. Ski jumping and snowboard, freestyle, whatever. The folks from Killington, Vermont came with their snowmaker machine and their jump expertise, and they helped us. The ramp was 2 stories higher than the highest light pole. Jose, who took your picture, actually climbed up to the top, crawled out on his hands and knees, took that picture and crawled back down. But what's cool about this picture here is that not only did this woman qualify for the U.S. Olympic team, she won the silver medal, so pretty cool stuff. And I can never remember her name. Behind you is an old Howard Johnson's hotel, an old Hojo's. Now it's a music-themed hotel, and yes, the campus are hotel rooms. They say they have a library of more than 1,000 LPs. Every room has a turntable, and you're welcome to borrow any of the music that you like. One more thing before we move on. On the horizon, we see the dome with the cupola on top. That's the Christian Science Church. That's their home. That's their Mecca. Pretty cool campus. What I find interesting is that it's about 6 years older than Fenway Park. When Fenway Park was built, That was the tallest building in Boston. Now look left, see what a difference 113 years makes, right? Follow me, we're going to tell you about the scoreboard. And the campers that you see down there, those campers are hotel rooms.
The camp is a hotel room.
Oh, the camper.
Yeah.
Get a good view of the scoreboard. I'm going to tell you all about it. See what you can do about getting a good look at the scoreboard. I'm going to tell you all about it. If you go too far, you won't be able to hear me. Only 2 people to hit a walk-off World Series winning home run. He hit 396 home runs in his career. 27 of them were hit here at Fenway Park, and he never played for the Red Sox. He killed us every time he came to Fenway. After one particularly good weekend, they had a press conference and they asked him, Joe, what is it with you in Fenway Park? He said, it's that sign out in left field. The Sitco sign? No, the See It Go sign. Joe Carter, true story. Now back to the scoreboard. I told you that the Yawkeys, they own the ballpark longer than anybody else. Mr. Yawkey died in the 70s, Mrs. Yawkey died in the 90s. And from Tom's death, Mrs. Yawkey was the first female owner in Major League Baseball. And but they were very humble. They didn't have any children. They didn't have any heirs. They would love to come to the ballpark when the team was on the road and picnic out in left field. Listen to an old transistor radio and listen to their boys on the road. One day they came up with an idea. Let's do something special. We don't have anybody, you know. They could have renamed the park. They could have done 100 different things, right? What they decided to do was put their initials on the scoreboard. I know it's a trick question, so I'm not going to ask you to find it on your own. But if you follow along, I'll show you exactly where they are. Below BetMGM, you see American League. Below the N in American, between the R and the P, a vertical line that looks like it needs a good paint job, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The line to its left, between the E and the P, same thing. International Morse code, dots and dashes with their initials. The one on the left is T-A-Y for Thomas Austin Yawkey. The one on the right is J-R-Y for Gene Remington Yawkey. The only on-field memorial in Major League Baseball. Pretty cool stuff. Follow me over to the Sam deck. We'll get one more story. I'm going to tell you about the red seat. All right, I'm going to take it back to 1946, June of 19. Everybody would come to the ballpark all dressed up in their Sunday best. Women wore dresses, men wore suits, straw hats, fedoras, and everybody came to the ballpark all decked out in their Sunday best. First game went by without incident. Short intermission. Now, when we were on the third base side, way up top, I told we were looking due east, right? Everybody in this section, due west into the setting sun, right? So the bottom of the first inning, who comes to bat but the great Ted Williams? Ted gets a hold of one deep right field. Everybody sitting out here knew it was coming. Nobody could see it. All they could do was duck. Joe takes it on top of his head, knocks him up. They bring him downstairs. No concussion protocols in 1946, right? They bring him down. Joe, you're okay. His pride was probably hurt more than his head, right? All he wanted to do is go back to his seat. Who's waiting for him when he gets there? The press. What's your name? Where are you from? Did you get the ball? He's grouchy. He goes, hold it. I have a question for you guys before we go any further. How far from home plate must one sit to be safe in this ballpark? Today we know that's 503 feet because Mr. Boucher was sitting 502 feet that Sunday afternoon June of 1946. We know the story to be true because the Boston Globe ran a story the next morning. There's a picture of Mr. Boucher with his finger out through the hole in the straw hat, and the caption read bullseye. In the story, he was quoted as saying, "I'm just glad I wasn't standing up." Mr. Boucher. Now the red seat doesn't cost anymore. People like it. You call the box office, you say, "I want to sit in the red seat." Not to be confused with the thousands of other red seats. They know exactly which one you're talking about. It doesn't cost any more, any less, but we suggest that you don't sit there because anyone who knows the story wants their picture taken in the red seat and they don't want you in it. So you're up and down all over. Mr. Boucher. So this is our last stop outdoors. We're gonna
the gold glove.
Joe?
What Evans dad.
The Senators, they won it in 23. Yeah, Senators were 24. So they won it twice.
Oh, in 23.
The Giants.
So many pictures.
St. Francis Chapel.
Did he say that we have to pay more money for the?
Mom, can you airdrop it?
That's her name.
Airdrop yours.
Jesus.
Yeah, look at number 42 from the Dodgers, Jackie Robinson. I don't know the numbers. All red, he's the only blue.